Cognitive distortions are irrational or false thoughts that can adversely affect our emotions, actions, and overall mental well-being. 15 common cognitive distortions. All or nothing thinking. Sometimes, our minds fall into the trap of extremes that things must be either amazing or awful, right or wrong, perfect or a total mess. There's no in-between. This way of thinking might sound like, if I don't get it exactly right, I've completely failed. But life doesn't work like that. Most of the time, things land somewhere in the middle. A person can be kind and still mess up. You can make progress and still have off days. Success is rarely a straight line. The goal isn't perfection, it's growth. By letting go of black and white thinking, we allow room for nuance, compassion, and the reality that we're all doing the best we can. There's strength in seeing the gray, overgeneralization. This happens when we take one experience and use it to judge everything else, often in ways that aren't fair or true. This happens when one bad moment convinces you that things will always go wrong. One disappointment turns into a sweeping belief like, nothing ever works out for me. It's like zooming in on a single snapshot and thinking it defines the whole story. But one moment doesn't predict your entire future. Just because something didn't go the way you hoped once, doesn't mean it'll always be that way. Start by noticing words like never, always, or everyone. These are red flags that your brain might be generalizing. Try to be more specific. That didn't go well today, but I can try again tomorrow. Every experience is its own chapter, not the whole book. Mental filtering. This happens when your mind zooms in on the bad and tunes out the good. Your mind is acting like a spotlight, but it only shines on the negative stuff. You might replay mistakes or disappointments while completely overlooking your wins, strengths, or progress. It's not that the good moments don't exist, they're just being filtered out. To shift this pattern, try gently balancing the view. Notice the neutral or positive moments, no matter how small. Maybe something went okay. Maybe you handled a tough situation better than last time. Those things count too. When we widen the lens, we see a fuller picture, not just the shadows. Discounting the positive. This is when something good happens but your brain finds a way to downplay it. Maybe you tell yourself it was just luck, or that it doesn't count because someone helped you. Unlike negative filtering where you miss the good entirely. Here you see the positive but you don't let it land. Over time, this habit chips away at your self-worth. To shift it, try pausing and giving yourself credit, even for the small wins. You played a part in that moment. You showed up. You tried. And that matters. Mind reading and fortune telling. Mind reading is when we assume we know what others are thinking, usually something negative. They probably think I'm annoying. But the truth, we don't actually know. Fortune telling is when we predict failure before we even try. I'll mess it up anyway, so why bother? These thoughts can keep us stuck and disconnected from opportunities for growth or change. Instead of assuming, try checking the facts. Could the outcome be different if you gave it a chance? Is it possible that person isn't judging you but just distracted or nervous? Challenging these patterns opens up space for hope, action, and self-trust. Jumping to conclusions. This is when we fill in the blanks with our own assumptions, often without real evidence. You send a message and don't get a reply for hours. Suddenly, you're thinking, they're ignoring me. I must have done something wrong. But here's the thing, you don't know that. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they haven't even seen it yet. Jumping to conclusions is when we assume the worst without having all the facts. These snap judgments often come from emotion, not evidence. Instead of filling in the blanks with fear, try slowing down. Ask yourself, do I have enough information? Could there be another reason? Most of the time, there's more to the story than we think. Clarity comes from curiosity, not conclusions. Catastrophizing. This happens when your mind takes a small issue and spins it into a worst-case scenario. It's like turning a stubbed toe into a broken leg or a simple mistake into the end of everything. You might catch yourself thinking, I messed up this one thing, so everything is ruined. Or this headache means something serious. These thoughts aren't based on facts, they're based on fear. Catastrophizing fuels anxiety, stress, and hopelessness. But you can interrupt the spiral. Here's how. Catch the thought. Notice when your mind jumps to extremes. Ask for proof. Is there real evidence, or are you guessing the worst? Come back to now. Focus on what's actually happening in the present moment, not what might happen in the future. Your thoughts aren't always facts. Pause, breathe, reframe. You're allowed to take things one step at a time. Emotional reasoning. This is when your feelings seem like proof. If you feel anxious, you assume something bad is about to happen. If you feel ashamed, you believe you must have done something terribly wrong. Emotional reasoning gives your emotions the final say even when the facts tell a different story. Examples might sound like, I feel embarrassed, so I must be stupid. I feel hurt, so they must not care about me. I feel guilty, so it must be my fault. Here's the truth, your emotions are real and important. But they're not always the full story. Feelings aren't facts, they're signals. They can guide us, but they don't have to define the entire situation. Try pausing and asking, what else might be true here? When we give space to both feelings and facts, we make clearer, kinder decisions for ourselves and others. Should statements involve placing unfair or unrealistic demands on yourself or those around you? Ever catch yourself thinking, I should be doing more, or I should have my life together by now? These thoughts can feel like pressure wrapped in guilt. They come from unrealistic expectations we place on ourselves or absorb from others. Shoulds often sound like rules we didn't consciously agree to. I should be further along by now. I should look a certain way. I should always be helping others. The problem? These beliefs can leave us feeling like we're constantly falling short, no matter how much we do. Instead of letting shoulds define your worth, try replacing them with kindness and curiosity. Ask, what do I actually want? What's realistic for me right now? You're allowed to move at your own pace. You don't have to earn your value. Let go of the rigid rules and give yourself room to grow, as you are. Magnification and minimization. This distortion shows up in two ways: blowing the bad way out of proportion, or shrinking the good until it barely counts. Magnification is when a small mistake feels like a disaster. One awkward comment turns into, I ruined everything. Minimization is when a compliment, achievement, or kind gesture gets brushed off as no big deal. This pattern makes it hard to see yourself clearly. The negatives feel huge, and the positives feel invisible. If you find yourself dismissing the good or exaggerating the bad, pause and ask, am I seeing this fairly? Try to notice your wins even the small ones. And remember, one rough moment doesn't define your worth. Labeling. This happens when we define ourselves or someone else by a single moment or mistake. One action becomes a sweeping judgment of worth. You might think, I didn't speak up in the meeting, I'm a coward. He was late once, he's totally unreliable. But one moment doesn't tell the whole story. Labeling turns people into fixed identities instead of seeing them as complex, growing humans. To shift this, try fact-checking your thoughts. Have you shown up in other ways? Has that person followed through before? Chances are, there's more to the story than one slip-up. You are more than a single moment. So is everyone else. Projection is a defense mechanism where we attribute our own inner struggles to the people around us. Sometimes, when we're struggling with uncomfortable thoughts or feelings, our mind shifts the focus onto someone else. Instead of recognizing what we're feeling inside, we assume those feelings belong to others. For example, feeling insecure about your appearance, so you criticize how others look. Feeling angry, but thinking they have a bad attitude. Being attracted to someone and assuming they're flirting with you. Holding certain biases and assuming others are the prejudiced ones. But the more we become aware of it, the more we can take ownership of what's truly ours and grow from it. Personalization and blame. This distortion shows up when we take things personally or assign blame without seeing the full picture. We either carry guilt that doesn't belong to us or point fingers when there may be more to the story. Examples might sound like, my child is having a hard time adjusting in school. I must be a bad parent. My friend hasn't called me. I probably did something wrong. But life is rarely that simple. So many situations involve factors outside our control. To shift this pattern, try asking, what part of this do I actually control? Am I taking responsibility for something that isn't mine? Could something else be going on? You're not responsible for every outcome or every feeling someone else has. Grace, not guilt, is what helps us grow. Rumination. This is when your mind gets stuck in a loop replaying worries, regrets, or painful memories over and over again, often without a clear purpose or solution. It often sounds like, why did I say that? What if I mess up again? I should have done things differently. Rumination feels like problem solving, but it usually leads nowhere, just deeper into self-doubt, anxiety, or sadness. One common form is brooding, turning painful thoughts inward without clarity or resolution. To break the cycle, try gently shifting your focus. Take a walk, Talk it out. Do something grounding in the present moment. You don't have to think your way out of every feeling. Sometimes the best way forward is to pause and be, instead of analyze, overthinking when your thoughts won't stop spinning, especially in a negative or irrational direction. That's more than just thinking a lot, it can actually be a cognitive distortion. Overthinking often means replaying scenarios, imagining worst-case outcomes, or obsessing over what you said or did. The more your mind loops, the more anxious or stuck you may feel. It can lead to distorted views like, if I don't think this through 10 more times, something will go wrong. Because I feel unsure, it must mean I made a mistake. Feels like you're preparing or protecting yourself, but often, it's just feeding anxiety. To disrupt the loop, try grounding yourself in facts, not fears. Ask, is this thought helping me or just keeping me stuck? Sometimes clarity comes not from thinking more, but from stepping back. How to work through faulty thinking. Our thoughts shape how we see ourselves, others, and the world, and affect our feelings and behavior. When those thoughts become distorted or overly negative, it's important to gently challenge them. Here's how to notice the pattern. Start by becoming aware of your go-to negative thoughts. Awareness is the first step to change. Ask questions. Is this thought based on facts or fear? Would I say this to a friend? Reframe the thought. Shift from harsh self-talk to something more balanced. Instead of I'm terrible at this, try I'm still learning, and that's okay. Use positive affirmations. Speak kindly to yourself. Remind yourself of your strengths, even if it feels awkward at first. Practice mindfulness. Stay in the present moment. Worry lives in the future, and regret lives in the past. Focus on now. Do what brings you joy. Whether it's a walk, painting, or laughing with friends, make time for things that fill you up. Choose what you feed your mind. Practice gratitude. Limit toxic input. Surround yourself with uplifting people and content. Ask for support. You don't have to figure it all out alone. A therapist can help you untangle thoughts and build healthier patterns.